At first, I didn't really want to make this kind of video. I remember when I started the channel and why I started the channel. I remember I was originally sitting down, expressing my dissatisfaction within the workplace and with my manager at the time. Ironically, I didn't really sit down and make any videos about that. Excuse me. I didn't make any videos about that at the time, mainly because I wasn't sure what would happen. I was still working that job when I was making those videos. So I was like, for me right now, I don't really want to rock the boat. But I realized I'm in a situation where I am doing this for myself. I am building this for myself. I am not concerned about any company, brand, person, business, recruiter, manager who sits down and comes across this video. And I want to say, if you're offended by what you hear in this video, honestly, you should reevaluate your company if that's the case. In this situation, I've experienced management, in my opinion, who's ill fit for the job. I've experienced individuals who actually want to break company policies to be able to keep themselves in positions of power. And for me, I don't really care about your position. I don't really care about your power. I don't really care about the artificial importance that this job gives you, the inflated sense of self that you get from the situation. In this situation, I've effectively spent a month, and I was, the best way to say it, put in a negative situation by the choice of management who lacks the ability to handle criticism. So instead of being able to handle criticism, we are going to sit down and make a false complaint that is going to put you, the individual, in a less than ideal situation. I'm sitting down looking at it like, this is par for the course. This is actually what I expected. I sat down and I was wondering to myself, why in less than a year have I effectively watched pretty much all of the people I work with either quit, move on, or leave this property entirely. Some people got different jobs. Some people again went to new properties entirely. Some people quit altogether. And I find myself in a space where I've even watched my coworker quit to get a promotion. And he didn't quit to get the promotion. He quit and then they gave him the promotion because they understood that they were ill-equipped because they are not interested in training the people there. Despite my numerous conversations regarding how come we're not being trained, I'm informed that, well, you can sit down and do training when it's not something that I'm actually scheduled to do. Excuse me. And then ironically, if I were to sit down and do something like this, my supervisor would have a problem with me sitting down and looking to train myself. Yet my supervisor takes no interest in actually developing me or any of the other technicians. But the most important part is my supervisor themselves is not truly equipped enough to actually teach me and the other technicians because my supervisor has no particular specialty himself. I find it interesting that I've worked with a supervisor who's been in this industry for 10 years, yet my supervisor is younger than me and more knowledgeable than a veteran who's been in this industry for a decade. He went on his 11th year. I'm not sitting here saying all of this because, I think these people are just mean or just lazy. I find it very questionable to be in an environment where you're working with professionals, quote unquote professionals, who don't show that, who don't show the expertise, who don't show they're knowledgeable. I find it very strange to sit down and and I mean really have to work with individuals who are literally coming to you to deal with all of the problems because they will flat out tell you, I don't understand this. I find it insane how I can sit down and work with individuals who are not physically capable of enduring the job, yet they're given a pass day in and day out. People are leaving early And someone else has to stop and pick up the slack for a full-timer who decides to leave early. And this is the person who gets promoted, who does the least amount of work, who consistently leaves early, and most importantly, they make all of the excuses for. I'm not sitting down saying that this individual is not deserving of their title and accolades, because there are things that they do behind the scenes that I don't see, and I'm going to acknowledge that. However, what it is that I do see is an individual who is given things that they did not really earn as far as the actual work that's needed. It makes no sense how people are going to stop at the job and then stay behind to deal with the slack, to deal with being down on people, to deal with not having the support necessary, yet they're not the people that are put into the places of position, despite them actually showing what it is they're capable of doing and able to bring to you in the organization. I find it interesting that managers are going to actively gloss over safety issues, safety practices for convenience. People willing to overlook electrical standards that are required in the workplace, and these are things that are done by experts. Being asked to put tape over electrical sockets, but you as my manager are going to claim that we need to be professional. And then it's ironic that I have someone who's telling me that, oh, you need to do the training just like this person, but me and this person don't even have the same job. I sit down and I have to learn this information because I have to know it. They only have to learn the information, or they have to look at the information because you're telling them it's required for their onboarding. There's a completely different set of requirements. And when you have managers who are going to sit down and say slick things like this, trying to compare you to other people when you and the other person don't have the same job, it makes no sense. Most importantly, I find it very interesting, just very, very interesting to see how you as the quote-unquote area director, right, whatever that title is, whatever they want to call you, I find it interesting how you as the individual who's supposed to foresee everything are losing contracts. What does that say about the state of the business? Questionable at best. Not because it's actually performing at a rate that is substantial to the company and really bringing in revenue. It's the simple fact that you're not making good business dealings. And I'm in a position where I'm sitting around bouncing around between all these places, and you've shown me that based on the environment I've experienced, I've had coworkers I've worked with and they instantly jumped ship because they've said this company is terrible. Not only do you not listen to the employees, but it's really about making it easier for management. Being in a space where you're intentionally understaffed consistently, being forced to build events where you genuinely don't have the help that you need. I've been in plenty of situations where I have had to effectively build an entire show with one person. I need at least 6 people to do this job. My favorite part was coming in on the weekends and basically having no one to work with, but basically being expected to prepare the entire week's worth of fucking shows. And it's like, who is making these decisions? Oh, right, someone who's been in this industry for 20 years and they're supposedly an expert. Yet you don't have the communication skills necessary to understand or adapt to this new environment. Most importantly, you're not interested in actually ensuring the people who work on the floor are knowledgeable. But that's because you're looking to cut corners to make things easier for yourself. I mean, I've sat down and watched you get yelled at because of your incompetence, which is what the client also saw. I've been in situations where I've had people, basically, I would say honestly shit themselves. And I'm telling them, hey, here's a time frame. I don't know what it's going to be, but just give me a moment. The people are upset. I'm like, okay, I completely understand. Someone comes and they deal with it, their energy completely starts to dissipate. Ironically, I'm not a manager. I'm simply just sitting down saying, hey, I'm going to ensure that this gets done for you. I'm not sitting here doing the most or pretending to be this person that knows it all or saying, we're all professionals. Let's put our hands up and let's sit here and pretend that we're professionals just because we say it. No. Being a professional is actually within the way that you act, carry, and conduct yourself. It's not some mantra that you spout every fucking day the moment you walk into the office, and then from the moment you're in there until the moment that you get to look at your phone and it says 5 o'clock, you get to leave this bitch. Like, no one needs to stop and hear you blabber about some shit that you can't consistently keep up with. You know, I don't sit down and run around and say I'm a professional, but every day I walk up in that bitch, I make sure it happens. I make sure the clients get what they need and the people's needs are met. And you want to know what happens? You acknowledge me for that. And you want to know what happens? Everyone around me acknowledges me for that. I don't stop and run around and say, yeah, I'm a professional because I do this. I sit down and I say, I'm a professional based off of the responses that I've got from my clients for the things that I've done. I'm in a situation where I'm looking at what it is that I do that brings value and that people respond to. And I'm in a situation where I have a weak manager, I have a weak leader who cannot sit down and take criticism, who cannot sit down and take ownership of their own wrongdoing, and they'd rather sit down and put someone else's life, I'd say, through chaos for their own satisfaction. Understand, life has a beautiful way of showing itself. And I understand that I'm in a situation where I'm going to have to deal with it. I'm going to have to figure some things out, and I'm going to make it happen because that's all that I've ever known. I've only known to overcome obstacles and to shine brightly on the other side of them, and this is just another example, I should say. And I make this video mainly because a lot of young people really sit down and they get started in the work world like I did with the real hope of, I'm going to work this job and I'm really going to make something of myself working this. And then you start to see how nefarious individuals are for, honestly, money that really isn't that great, mainly because it's something that they can't do themselves. And that's mainly what I've learned from this experience. As someone who's looking to build something for himself, I cannot sit down and pray to become huge, being complacent like the managers that I experience and work with. These are individuals who are comfortable and they perceive that they are competent within the decisions that they make. However, I am seeing that this is not a competent decision to make. Not because I'm the person who was wronged, whatever the case may be, but because when you sit down and you make a decision, understand you build habits based on your decisions. And I understand that people build habits, and in a situation where you continue to act a certain way, and you continue to act a certain way, and then someone calls you on it, right? And then you have other people calling you on it, right? You're going to get to the point where you're going to hire more people who are going to sit down and call out the behavior, and then it's going to get to the point where you are either forced out or you get kicked out because of your behavior. So for me, I understand that, hey, I could give a rat's ass if you've been doing this 20 years. I could give a rat's ass if you've been doing this 10 years. I could give a rat's ass if you've been doing this 30 fucking years. Who gives a shit? How do you treat people? Because what matters is how those people are going to talk about you and how those people are going to experience you and recommend you going forward. You believe that this is a situation where, oh, I'm a manager, nothing's going to befall me. However, I can guarantee you, this bad decision that you've made when it comes to me is going to be the decision that uproots your life. When you sit down and you make nefarious choices with the goal to harm individuals in their own life, understand those actions only circle around back to you. You have told me things that I know. And I know, based on what you've told me, you are not a competent man. You are not a man that I would follow into business or into battle. Mainly because I'd watch you get your head cut off first and foremost. But most importantly, you're not someone who really can make a decision that people believe in. I've seen it. I've seen how people look at you. I've seen how people talk about you. I've asked about you. I've had my own personal experiences with you, and they have not been favorable. Most importantly, though, you have not sat down and put me in a position where you can tell me that I was not able to complete the task. You have not put me in a position to tell me I was not able to get it done. At no point in time have you ever told me, as I've been the person on the floor, that, hey, what we needed didn't happen and it was your fault. At no point in time have I ever dropped the ball, and I understand that in this situation, I will be protected. Corporate America is a unique place. You will find a lot of weak-minded individuals, a lot of weak leaders. You will find a lot of beautiful people, a lot of strong voices, a lot of confident individuals, and a lot of competent individuals. In this situation, I just did not find myself competent management, but I did find myself competent teammates. Unfortunately, it does not look like I might be able to make it back to those teammates, but I will be able to make it to a much, 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 much more positive, enjoyable, blissful, and an environment that'll compensate me for what it is that I actually bring to them. So I want to say, if you're someone who's currently working with a shit manager, or working in a shitty environment, or working with people that you can't fucking stand, it's okay. It's okay. Simply because at some point in time, you're going to end up transitioning out of there. I'm seeing in my situation, that's exactly what's going on. And even though I've been having a lot of troubles, and when I say troubles, I just mean like worries or whatever. Even though I'm having a lot of those issues, you know, I've been focusing on allowing myself to allow that those concerns to drift along, you know, be released from me as a person, and focus on what my horizon looks like. I don't have to wake up and go to this place anymore. I'm thankful for that every day. I'm actually happy. I don't have to sit down and be annoyed about having an inconsistent schedule. And most importantly, am I going to make enough money for the month in a situation where I'm given a quote unquote full-time job, but they don't actually want to explain how that works. But I'm not concerned about a company or a team or managers or just genuinely people that I really don't need in life, because no company is your family. These people were not my family. I look at how they treated me, and I'm very glad that I got to see and really remove myself from this delusional ideology of you go to work and we're all a family and we're friends and all that fuckery. Honestly, I'm just glad it's over. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. I know you guys have been dealing with a lot through the work world. Please leave me your thoughts. Feel free to express yourself in the comments. Tell us what, you know, you've been going through in the workplace. And most importantly, if they're, you know, not really working out for you, move on. Fuck them. Who really cares? There's many jobs out here. There's many employers out here. There's many different forms of being able to create income for yourself. It is hard, but then again, getting a job is just as hard. So what difference does it really make? But again, I appreciate your time, guys. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. And again, if you've ever had a shitty boss, fuck them in the comments. Amen.